Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the final and the concluding day of the 23rd World Education Summit School Education 2022. And we are on the second panel discussion of the day now, and the topic of the discussion is design thinking, experiential learning, and flexible assessment. Can they create a better future for students? And with me, I have some amazing educationists who will be discussing on this topic. We have with me Ms. Shalini John, the IB head, Aditya Birla World Academy, Mumbai. Welcome, ma'am. We have with us Ileswarappu Kameshwari, Principal, Unicent International School, Hyderabad. Welcome, ma'am.
Hello everyone.
We have with us Ms. Kavita Singh, Principal, Ramratna Vidya Mandir, Thane, Mumbai. Welcome, ma'am. Ms. M. Varalakshmi, Principal, Jubilee Hills Public School, Hyderabad. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ms. Madhur Gupta, Principal, Genesis Global School, Noida. Welcome, ma'am. Ms. Padma Kumar, Principal, SGVP International School, Ahmedabad. Welcome, ma'am. And Ms. Sonia Nagpal, Principal, Gitanjali Vedika School, Hyderabad. Welcome, ma'am. So I would now hand it over to Ms. Shalini John, who's the moderator of the panel, to take over and share some valuable thoughts about the topic with all the panelists. Over to you, Shalini, ma'am.
Thank you, Taranum. Of course, just like Taranum said, we have an excellent group of educators, and our topic for discussion today is design thinking, experiential learning, and flexible assessment. Now, these are the three words that have been resonating in the lives of all educators, whether we were online or whether we were offline. Now, can any of this create a better future for our students? That's what we are here to discuss. Just like Winston Churchill once said, where my reason, imagination, or interest is not engaged, I would not or I could not learn. So the key phrases there are in terms of reason, imagination, and interest. And that's exactly what design thinking, experiential learning, and flexible assessment aims at. The Cobb's cycle of inquiry has different stages. It refers to doing, reflecting, analyzing, and applying. Experiential learning, they say, is the key to widening the horizons of our learners. So, my first question to my esteemed panelist is, how does experiential learning enhance a student's experience?
So can I take this question now?
Yes, please.
So one of the great good afternoon everyone. So one of the great person said, only source of knowledge is experience. So experience, what I feel is an entire process of development. So in this, reflection is the key point where the child should reflect after experiencing. People call it as hands-on experience, learning by doing. But what I feel, learning by doing and experiencing, then he has to reflect. When a child from his own experience, he get to know the concept well, and he can correlate with the real life situations. So a child connected to the real world through experience. So in this process, the child experience, then he reflects, then he thinks, then he acts, and the result, what I feel, is holistic development. So if you take example, if we ask the child to make a salad, or if we ask the child to ride a bike, or he can ride a bicycle. So first he start learning by himself. First he experiences, he fails for some time, then he reflects, and then again he come up with solutions. So I feel, in my words, when he does all these things, if you take example of a salad preparation, so first child critically think that what are the various needs, and he connects with his pre-knowledge, what my mom has done, what the cook might have done. Then he relates to the science behind it, why I am preparing salad. Then he thinks, what are the nutrients in the salad, Then he comes to the process. I can add on something, some sauces in the salad, and then final result. He tastes the same, and then he says, "Yes, I have done it." So this is what is experiential learning in my view. Thank you.
Okay. May I?
I would like to add on,
May
ma'am.
Yes, Miss Sonia.
So I totally agree with Kameshwari, ma'am. That's it's experiential learning gives experiences. So the children, whatever they have learned in their classrooms, the concept that they have learned, they apply it, they put it into practice. It may be successful or it may not be. So they observe, like they do reflect. They may think that, how can I modify my action? How can I better the result or the outcome? And then they act upon it. So I would just like to add or give a few examples of what we did. So when we talked about the experiential learning, one of them is also service learning, right? So we connect the teaching and learning to service to community. Like I discussed with my panelists just now a minute ago, we have our PTM going on. We also have our art exhibition going on at the same time. Now, our students, they made, art pieces, uh, and we all decided, this was a collective decision, and in fact, the idea came from the students only, that we are going to sell these products and we are going to raise funds for an orphanage which is very close to our school. So they are the ones who are also standing there selling the products today. That is one service learning. The other example which I would like to give here is that when we were in the virtual mode, we took up virtual vacation. So, of course, children could not travel to various places. But there is this website called Virtual Vacation. They could choose any city that they wanted to visit. Not only that, they could choose the means and mode of travel also, whether they want to have a walking tour or a bus ride or flying tour. So children picked up their city, their mode of transport, they experienced that, and then they wrote about it. Uh, if they didn't find it interesting enough, then they went back and they took up another tour. If they had taken the walking tour earlier, they took up the bus tour or the flying tour to see the city better. So I think that is what is experiential learning all about. So, taking a task, doing it in the real world scenario, reflecting, modifying your actions, and then acting upon them, experimenting. Yeah.
May I
Interesting
add
point.
something?
Yeah, interesting point, Miss Sonia. I think even the online mode doesn't stop experiential learning. Great. I think Miss Kavita, you had to add
Yes.
something to that.
Yes, ma'am. I think I'm audible, right? I'm
Yes.
very much agreeing with the Kameshwari ma'am and Sonia ma'am, and just wanted to understand, or just wanted to tell something. When we talk about experiential learning, as the word itself is very clear, learning through experience. We have also learned many things through our experiences, but all the concepts cannot be taught through experiential learning. There are many concepts, many topic, which is very difficult for us to give them hands-on experience on that. But yes, our senses can be used. Just in language, when we talk about language, experiencing a high wind or water waves, they have lots of lesson and poems based on that. So how we have to think how we can make child to take experience on these topics, where the real experiences cannot be given. So yes, child can experience through his senses, but yes, all the experiences is going to be on virtual mode only. So when they will encounter with the real experience, maybe their responses or reaction to it will be different. When we see the dream, we see everything. So when we see in the dream, we feel everything is very easy. They say, I'll give you my example. I always used to see my family driving a car. So I thought it is so easy. Sit, drive the car. Kya hai, accelerator hai, brake hai, and so it's very easy. But you will not believe till now I didn't learn driving. It is so hard. So when we come into reality, we face lots of challenges. and we can overcome only through practices, lots of practices. And yes, as ma'am mentioned, both the ma'am mentioned that reflection is must in that. And here they learn, their own action, their own actions, consequences, whatever they have thought. And when they think something and when they are asked to do it at practical level, they face some challenges, they face some problems, some may face, some may not face. Then reflection on that is very important. And the overall, what I feel, they learn to handle their emotions also. And practically only they understand ki, okay, if this is there, what kind of emotions may come out. So this is again very important if we talk about emotional quotient. So experiential learning, give experience for this also to everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.
If I can pose the question to Miss Madhur. Miss Madhur, what do you think underpins the successful experiential learning?
Yeah. So if we see, we need to have a very strong ground, to ensure, to make it realize that experiential learning is a lifelong learning. Now, if we go back to our old system, the Vedic system, Vedic age also, if you see the Gurukul system. So what was it when we see that time? Uh, the child used to go and live with their gurus, and what they used to do in other than doing all the essential learnings, they were doing their daily course, they were doing meditation, they were playing, they were hunting, maybe they were going for uh, or any kind of activities. So unconsciously what they were doing, they were learning all the life skills. Now obviously we possibly can't bring the Gurukul system, that same system, we can't go back, but at least we can bring the positives. What is the essence of that Gurukul system now in the modern infrastructure? And that is how we, I think, need to connect experiential learning and make it a lifelong learning. Because this lifelong learning, whatever said and done, it actually, what I want to add, one more thing very important is, it empowers one to be responsible for their own learning. That is very, very important, which I think all the panelists till now, they have spoken about the reflection. So taking the ownership of the uh, learning, whatever they are doing.
Exactly. I wouldn't agree less to that. It's basically creating that student agency, putting the onus of the learning not only with the guru or the teacher, but also ensuring that the students are equally responsible for their own learning. Just another question that I would have with regard to experiential learning. Now, we all have our experiences with what works when you have experiential learning being happening in the classrooms. So, do you think it's that one big task which is something that will end up being a fruitful experiential learning, or do you think two or three small tasks which would be more effective in making it a successful experiential learning experience?
What I feel is, I think the overarching picture has to be there. If we don't have an umbrella task, like what is the purpose of doing anything, and we don't know what is our ultimate goal, what is our end product, and whether there is an application of it. So it is very important to know that. But it is not easy to tackle that umbrella thing in one go. So there comes a very strategic planning in terms of breaking that big task into smaller tasks. So
Yes.
it is quite debatable. We can't say that, okay, this is a problem. But yes, that problem has to be broken down. Now, when we have broken down and bring down, and when we are planning, we have to cater to so many things. Age level, if we are doing it with the learners, what is the prerequisite knowledge they have? Are they, even if we are solving the problem, if they have to tackle that particular problem, do they have the required knowledge, the concepts clear for that particular knowledge? Because then only they can analyze the problem, they are able to analyze the task, critically think, look for solutions, and then they can apply. And of course it has to be continuously very engaging, because if it loses that, if these learners, they lose the interest, then there won't be the product. So there comes the role of a facilitator. How a facilitator, where teacher nowadays is not an autocratic role, but teacher is more like a mentor or a guide or a facilitator, ensures that there is progressively the task is being unveiled and it is getting scaffolded and exposed to students as per their learning and moving in a progressive direction. So continuous feedbacks, continuous reflection, because there may be a requirement to diverge, modify, change, so that we come with a constructive solution.
Okay. I think Miss Varalakshmi, I think you wanted to add something.
Yeah,
Sonia, I'll
I
come back to you.
thank you, Shalini. I totally agree with Madhur Gupta. The way she has explained, it's a beautiful, ma'am. You have summed it up very well. So we would like to just add on to that. The experiential learning itself is a necessity. So whatever they learn, I feel in the classroom, they will forget down the line 10 years 12 years they might forget, but the experiences they have in their mind with that specific facilitator, that remains with them for the life. So alumni, when they come back, they don't remember the teacher for what subject the teacher has taught, but it is what value she has added for that particular child. That is how they remember. So then we are all talking about experiences. Yes, they are definitely required, but some, as another panelist has told us, that everybody cannot experience all the things. Therefore, certain things in the classroom level we have to make them imagine, and it has to be carried forward because there are certain topics teachers are trying to do their best, and especially with the help of the technology, I think we are able to achieve that. With the augmented reality, AR and VR, children are able to get everything, they're able to experience. Like what ma'am said, we are not able to make them experience in real life, but as somebody said, they could not, I think Miss Kavita told that she could not learn driving, but with a simulator, definitely, ma'am, I think we will be able to do it. We wish you all the best, and I hope to hear from you next time that you are driving the car. So similarly, our children, that
Thank you,
fear is
ma'am.
there. The fear factor is there. Only the facilitator's work is to remove that fear, give the confidence to the children. It's going to be okay. It is only time taking. Every child can learn at their own pace. Maybe the other child needs some more time, a little more help, and little more with the friendship, with the peer group also, they will learn a little better. That's what I feel. Yeah.
I think the one common thing that has come up with the discussion so far is the fact that the facilitator plays a very important role.
Yeah.
Now, we all know how hard pressed our teachers are as educators in the classroom, juggling between assessments, exams, preparations, coping with difficult kids, coping with difficult parents, etc. So, in all this entire scenario that happens in the life of the educator, uh, if you were to come across a teacher who says that experiential learning is a good idea, it's something that is I would something that I would love to do in my class, but I don't have the time. Now, how do you possibly convince such an educator or a teacher who comes to you? Miss Padma, you want to take this question?
Thank you very much, Ms. Shalini. It's a very pertinent question. And before I take up this, I would want to share that I perfectly, resonate with what Mrs. Varalakshmi shared. Involvement, which matters a lot. So involvement is the key. It reminded me of a famous quote by Benjamin Franklin: "Tell me, and I forget. Teach me, and I remember. Involve me, and I learn." So what we are talking about, the entire experiential learning, is all about involving the students by all ways and means. So there are possibilities that the teachers, when we talk about experiential learning, when we talk about different kind of approaches that we try to incorporate in our system, may come up with such a question that how do I complete my syllabus? It depends upon, again, board to board. If we are handling with the CBSE board or ISC board, IB board, every board has its own set curriculum. But this is a very interesting question, and fortunately, I got this question to answer because we have been executing this experiential learning in our system from the year 2017, and we've been able to successfully sail through this. We have incorporated these kind of experiential learning or project based learning into the system by taking 2 to 3 chapters, for which we are not assessing the children in a summative manner, rather we are assessing them in the formative manner. So what we do is that right in the beginning of the year, when we plan our curriculum, we plan projects for the children, so teachers are well prepared, and then the teachers are also well trained for that. So what I want to say here is that when we say teachers need to be well trained, see, we talk about students to be future ready, but we need to question ourselves: are the teachers future ready? So are we training our teachers enough to be future ready? So it's very much important for us to train the teachers to take it forward and to sail through this in a very smooth manner, managing the board curriculum along with the experiential learning pattern. So the curriculum should be planned in such a way, the teacher should be trained in such a way that the class and the experiential learning part becomes very interesting for the children. The moment the teacher enters the class with these kind of projects as a design for the children, there should be an adrenaline rush in the children that the teacher has come up with something new, and certainly it's something very interesting, and the child, there should be an ecosystem, rather I would say, the teacher and the student enjoying the entire class. So when we plan it, and when we put it into the curriculum itself, that becomes a very smooth sail. And this way we can also assess the children with some formative kind of assessments, like communication, collaboration, whatever we talk about now, experiential learning is all about. So all these things can be incorporated into that project based learning, which we successfully do in our organization.
A very pertinent point, I guess, in terms of developing that right ecosystem. So it's not just being facilitators and handing over the project to the students, but actually training our teachers and scaffolding the learning of the teachers also, which is equally important. So, when you refer to the concept of design thinking and experiential learning, I think it's difficult to compartmentalize. It's difficult to say that this is where experiential learning ends and this is where design thinking starts. So, when you refer to the 5 stages of design thinking, which is empathy, defining the problem, ideating, prototype, as well as testing. So those are the 5 stages under design thinking. Now, when you talk about design thinking, it is said that design thinking is a growth mindset. Now, how do you go about facilitating this or bringing about this growth mindset, maybe within teachers, within your students? Ms. Kameshwari, would you like to take this question?
See, it's very difficult task for a principal or a head of the institution. So this is growth mindset, this is open mindset, this is design thinking, this is what you have to do. So as somebody, as Ms. Padma said, everything we should embed, it should be embedded in curriculum. When we design a curriculum, the curriculum should be designed in such a way that all these aspects to be incorporated. So especially when we talk about design thinking, when you said the idea should be given, then the reflection should be, the teacher should ponder for this. So what I see for any activity, if we are talking about design thinking, we are talking about 4 C's. I'll just connect 4 C's and design thinking, as well as somebody said about project based learning also. So everything should be incorporated in our curriculum. When we incorporate in our curriculum, so it automatically goes well, and teachers also adapt to it. Likewise, if you think, first, who knows about that we are going to have Google Classroom, we are going to present. So first initial days, I was very much scared whether teachers will do well. I used to be on my laptop and I used to watch every class. When teachers have designed, and now I think more than me, they use many tools. They use Nearpod, so they use Pedlight, they use quizzes. So this is what they need. And everything, if we embed everything in our curriculum in a planned way, then automatically teachers start doing it. They start the ideathon. They give certain ideas to the student, and they also take help of the student to design either a project or to design a activity in the classroom, or a metacognition talk, or it may be a cross curricular project, or it may be an inquiry project. So what I feel, our curriculum plays an important role for all these aspects, especially if we are talking about experiential learning, we are talking about reflection. Thank you.
Miss Sonia, would you like to add to that?
Yes, like all the other esteemed panelists have stated, I would totally agree with it that design thinking and experiential learning, which cannot be segregated and separated, must be a part of learning. And teachers will be able to implement it if they know that the school is very supportive of it. So, of course, our lesson plans are properly planned and so on. But if they know there is a sequence of instructions which have to be given, if we know that proper planning in terms of time and resources is done, then I don't think these are difficult tasks. And like one of our panelists also stated that design thinking and experiential learning should not be taken up in isolation, right? So I just would like to give an example of our children creating. I'm an English teacher, so we gave them the task of creating podcasts. Now that is a very real life situation. They can be news readers in the future, they can be the ones who create podcasts in the future. And what it helped us to do was to assess their oratory and written skills. So, and of course, one point that I would also like to touch here, which Shalini ma'am, you had talked about earlier, was whether it should be a small one task or, bigger task. So that depends upon the objective that you're trying to achieve, right? Now having a podcast is that we want them to be better at their oratory skills, we want them to have better written skills, because what we did with our students was that they chose their own topic of interest. So somebody chose sports, somebody chose space, they researched on it, they wrote their own content. Through an app they created their own podcasts. Now, why the entire process of design thinking was involved in it? Because they heard their voice. Okay, it's not okay. I need to go back and modify it. They also heard what they spoke. No, it doesn't have a flow, right? Or it doesn't have the required information that an audience would like to listen to. Whom am I catering to? Who's the audience? So they went back and modified. So I think the entire process of design thinking and experiential learning came into it. Also, it helped us in the assessment. So that is what I had to say, ma'am.
Okay. If I could pose the next question to Ms. Varalakshmi. Ms. Varalakshmi, we say that design thinking is just not restricted to one field. We see it in different walks of life. We know that architects talk about it, doctors talk about it, engineers talk about it. Everybody talks about design thinking. Now, considering the fact that we are trying to bring it into our classrooms, so how should we design our classroom experiences so that they mirror the real world experiences?
Yeah. Thank you, Shalini, for giving me that question. I was, in fact, waiting to do that. Uh, See, what we do is, in fact, we send our students, senior students, of course, to different fields, different professional areas. In future, what they would like to become. We first ask them to write it down. So we segregate that group, And if somebody wants to become a lawyer or something, so we put that batch, we send them to their office, and literally one whole day they have to observe them. So that is the experience, real life experience that they're going to get. Similarly, if they want to be an agriculturalist or something like that, then they go to the farming area and all. Then any MNC company, some students say, I want to become the CEO. So we say, okay, come on, let's go to an office, MNC company, and you literally will become a manager for one day there. And you observe, he will only be shadowing the manager and seeing his responsibilities. Like somebody said, it is very easy to tell driving is so easy, but very difficult when you get there. Similarly, the children understood when they went there, they came back, ma'am, it's very tough. My God, I thought CEO post is just like that, it comes. I said nothing comes so easily. You have to work for it, children. But people are there to support you. If that is your aim in to come up in life, definitely people are there to support and all. So once they experience, then they what when they came back to the school, they asked me for a creative room. It came from the students. They said, ma'am, everything is happening in the class. Teachers are telling, we are learning, but sometimes we get ideas we want to discuss. In your timetable, why don't you include one creative period? You just leave us. No, but no teacher interference. You leave us in groups. Whatever we want, we will plan, we will come up. If we are making mistakes, we will seek your assistance, but allow us to think, allow us to do it on our own, allow us to make the mistake. You correct us there. So we are given that think room for them, and then they started, and then one by one all their requirements had come, and we gave them the boardroom. So because they had that experience when they went out and they saw the culture and how it happens, so everybody created in their own area whatever is the requirement, and they started ideating there. That is where that design thinking started. Really, with the way they came up, of course they got stuck some places, so they immediately rushed to the teachers and they seek their support. Not only that, they got the permission from me and contacted the other party, the third party people, and then I got stuck in this place. So the companies called me back and they said, your students are not leaving us. It's like that. See, once that vision is there, it has come in their mind, that interest is generated. I think there is no stopping for our children. So classroom, all these things are only, we are only providing facilities, but the thoughts are really beautifully they have ideated. And our children, one of our student, ma'am, he has invented uh, a smart watch for an Alzheimer's patients. That is because again his grandmother is suffering, and every day, every night they're all disturbed. So he invented this smart watch, and then they put it on her hand. Anytime she, as long as she's lying on the bed, it will not operate. It will not send any signal to the parents. But the minute the person gets up, if they're in a vertical position, even on the bed, immediately an alarm sets and they come running out to hold her or something to avoid the fall. So this is necessity is the mother of invention. The child had a need in the in the house. Then he started thinking. He said, "I want to help. I want peace of mind at home for everybody." When the thought, the idea came, then it did not happen just like that. To have a smartwatch, to get, send the signal, alarm, and all, it's quite a bit of electronics, all those things. But then we supported the child. We gave them what he needed. The idea was his, but the support was from all of us, from the parent side also. And today it's the child has received the Bala Puraskar award also for that. So that is how ideas can come up from any corner. We should allow them it to happen.
I
I think
just
that's
have,
a
may I add one point? We can
yes.
even think of internship. You know, we can
Yeah,
send
very good.
students for that program also internship. That is a
True, ma'am.
best platform, to get practical knowledge. Whatever they are learning in the theory or in the classroom,
Yeah,
they will
Right,
that's what
right.
experience
some.
today.
Yeah, sometimes, ma'am, see certain things which are good. I think we need to adapt from the other countries too.
Yeah.
Like in foreign countries, if you see, they have these internship programs. Even in our as a country, also we have, but at a higher level. But if you can bring it down the line, then I think it is much more, much better.
Yeah.
We just need to have a networking strong, ma'am. We can
Yeah.
coordinate with the bank people, we can coordinate with the that vocational trainers, and we can send our children for 15 days, 10 days, that will give a good experience. So for that, networking is important. We have to build the relation and we have to convince them for that, and I think it will work.
Just to
Yeah.
add on, we just wanted to have a bank in our school. So right from grade three, we are starting financial literacy, how to manage their own finances. So we are starting that. That is very important in these days. So make them an entrepreneur. What are the entrepreneurship skills? So this is what the initiation, as you said, every one of us, if we start one step, children will go beyond.
Even it can be done within the department also, ma'am. Handling customer
Yes.
is not easy, so we can make student who is good in communication, to take experience of with the PRO department of the school. Then we have account department in the school, so we have many departments. Everybody has in their own school.
Yeah.
So with that also, with the department also, internship can be started instead of going out
Yes.
if you're finding difficult. So that also can be done.
True.
And may
True.
I add
Exactly.
something here? I think with the middle school, we can really adapt the curriculum. Of course, with grade 9 onwards, there is little bit of rigidity comes in terms of we get
True.
bound with the board requirement. But I think middle school, we can really play around with the curriculum where we can introduce more and more of such activities, which could
True.
actually be based on these design thinking and experiential learning both together, which can go hand in hand.
True.
Right. So I think all that we are talking about, shadowing, all that we are talking about internships, giving our students a way to understand what their aspirations are, getting a feel of what the real world has to offer, is all to bridge the gap between the academia and industry. So when we talk about the 21st century learning skills which are required, which is the four C's of critical thinking, creative thinking, collaboration, and communication. So how do you think design thinking actually promotes any of these four C's? Ms. Madhur, you would like to take that question?
Yeah, if we see all the steps of the design thinking, we are when we are talking of the like you as you mentioned about empathy, then we go into ideating and prototyping, testing, whatever various steps are. So whatever when we are looking into first thing is when we are doing a brainstorming session, say let us say when we are trying to find out ideas about or the innovative ideas for that first thing if we have to in fact look into the problem, so brainstorming, so where is that what kind of skill it is encouraging brainstorming, everybody will be doing in a group, so there is a collaboration, there is a teamwork which is happening, there is something which you are able to communicate, because unless you are not able to express, how will you get to know what is a problem? If I'm not able to express my problem, how will I get to know my problem, get to work on that particular problem? So if we see the hidden behind that particular step is we are encouraging collaboration, we are encouraging communication, right? Now tackling the problem, if we have to use the various resources, where are comes different modes of learning, whether we talk in terms of digital learning, so how well informed we are about it, how we are able to use it judiciously or in the correct manner. Whatever information is available in ample, but are we able to filter the information, which is the correct information and which information to be utilized? Again, that talks or that covers one of the C's which we are talking of, right? So obviously, design thinking, if we see overall this thing, it obviously looks into all these C's which are taken care of.
Okay.
Ms.
Thank
Shalini,
you,
I would
Ms.
like to add on.
Yes,
Uh,
please.
Ma'am, I would like to say that design thinking entails those four C's. Also, two more C's that I would like to add here are character building and coping strategies. So, because see, these are our students, we want them to think creatively, we want them to construct something for the betterment of humanity. right? But on the other hand, there are some terrorists and so on. They also have problems. They also think, right? They also create things. But what is a good ethic? What values we entail? I think that also design thinking underpins, as well as the coping strategies. So, like we said, there is a problem. People empathize, they ideate, they discuss, they may fail, but the coping strategy that they learn is, I'm going to come back and I'm going to try another way and try and find a solution. So not only the four C's, but I would like to add these other two C's about character and coping strategies too. Thank you.
So,
Thank you
Wonderful.
so much. You covered the rest too, which I missed out. Of course, it wasn't there.
yeah, I think character building, we would all agree, and also coping problem. Okay. And the pandemic has taught us that. I think resilience is the key to bouncing back from whichever situation you are put into, how to get back on track. When we talk about the teaching
Shalini
and
ma'am,
learning, yes, please.
one can I
Yes, yes,
I
Kavita,
just
yes.
wanted to share this. We can take help of movies also. Movies impact a lot on the children. There are different movies, which inspires them, which gives them value. So we can take help of that movie. What generally I practice in my school to understand, child's personality. We just take one movie and we show some part of the movie, or sometimes if time permits we show them full movie, and then we just ask them which character did they like in that movie. And because as per my personality only I will like the character. So they tells कि मुझे ये अच्छा लगा, मुझे ये अच्छा लगा. For example, I'm saying I hope everybody is aware about Bahubali movie, right? So when that movie was shown, we asked them, ki, who's your favorite character? So somebody said Bhallal Dev, somebody said Bahu, and everybody Katappa. They took different names. So that made us very easy to understand what kind of a personality or what kind of a thinking child has about his own thinking. So accordingly, we noted down everything कि इसका ये character है, इसका ये trait है, and we tried to counsel them, we tried to solve them. And then later on there were a question set कि what was the difference between see, he was also strong, Ballal and Bahu was also strong, but there was a huge difference. Bahu had empathy in his every activity, while Ballal was not having that. They both were focused to win the battle, but this was the biggest difference कि when Bahu went to attack or to win the battle, he just protected his janta also, or his public also, which was not taken care by Ballal. So this kind of a thing can be shown to the children. We can discuss on this, and accordingly we can plan, or we can ask them to design. Some task can be given to them. We can ask them to design the task, and later on we can question according to that, 4 or 5 steps which that design thinking have, whether they have considered all the steps or not. So the small activities or the events what happens in the school, no need for teacher to plan that. Give a team, students team, let them do it, let them plan. This will help them to understand everything practically. And believe me, I proudly say this, that my children are expert in that. If any event is given, they will plan better than an adult. Why? Because children have raw idea, raw thought. What we do, we copy or we see, somewhere, and then we try to implement. But their ideas, everything is completely raw. So, and they are the risk taker also. They take risk, more than us. So when they are given chance, when they are given opportunity, this theoretically what we are teaching, they'll get to learn practically. So it can be done. CC activity keeps on happening in the school. We can ask them कि ये event आपको conduct करना है. Class 7 will conduct the event. Let them choose the place. Let them invite. Let them select who will be the audience. Let them select the topic. And after the event, we should give them a time for the reflection also. So before event and after event, we must hold one meeting to understand the process. So task and process, these are the two important tasks or things actually which has to be taken care. And these are the factors of experiential learning too, I think, in my opinion. Thank you very
Yeah.
much, Shalini ma'am.
Yes. Yeah, so that's again how we can possibly make our teaching and learning much more engaging and involve our students by giving them greater ownership. So, when we talk about teaching and learning, a very integral part of teaching and learning is also assessment. And I think the buzzword that's going around with assessments is flexible assessments. We are done talking about formative assessments, summative assessments, we are talking about ipsative assessments, peer assessment, self assessment. So now there is the buzzword of flexible assessments. How do you encourage the teachers to follow the norm of flexible assessment? Do you think it's practical when it say comes to board classes? How often do we find teachers on board to accept something called flexible assessment? Miss Padma, you want to take that?
Yeah, when it comes to flexible assessment, when I talk about the board examinations, I would definitely say that it is not that very easy and possible for the teachers who are taking ISC or ISC or ICSC classes to go ahead with the flexible examination, right? Because it talks about more conducting examinations in a formative manner, which is more possible in the middle school or the primary level. And these are the various stages when we group the children and we build confidence of the children. So in those areas, when we talk about pre-primary, primary section or the middle school, flexible assessment plays a very key role, because these are the areas where we boost the morale of the students. Teacher can plan group discussions or any kind of other peer assessment, self assessment, and all those things which will build their self confidence, and they can take it forward. That way, by the time they reach 10th standard or 12th standard, they are actually ready to give the summative examinations. Though we all know that we all do conduct summative and formative examinations in our school, and flexible examinations give a lot of scope for children to keep the fear factor away. So this fear of examination, if we take out from the children at a very early age and make them feel that it is not an examination where they are going to be judged, how they are going to perform, but rather it is an assessment of what they know, and there is always a scope of improvement. The teachers can always act as a mentor and give feedback to the children, and that is the way they can take it forward when it comes to board examinations. But certainly when we are into boards, then obviously we have to follow the curriculum of the board, and we are expected that we complete the set syllabus that is prescribed by the board. But little bit of change that we can certainly bring into our education system, because we cannot do today's business with yesterday's tools. We need to sharpen our saws. So we need to do all these things in the primary years and make the children actually future ready when they come to ISC and ICSE appear for the board examinations.
Okay. Miss Madhur, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I think unless we will have to go at the top to bring a change. And if we are depending on marks and on the admission criteria as depend focusing on marks, it will be very difficult, to bring a change, especially in the higher classes, because the admission criteria, going to good universities, good courses, and now again here it is debatable. What do we call as a good course or an average course? For me, maybe a course is the one of the best. So there, I think there's a lot of requirement in terms of working at the university, colleges level, their admission criteria. Are we only focusing on 90% and above, or are we focusing on actual learning? So then only the assessment pattern there can be a change which can be brought about in assessment. When we are talking of we talk in terms of self-paced learning, which should be brought about, because we have students or learners with diverse needs, so that it will be able to take care of. And another very important thing which I feel is, it is very important to have a lot of orientations and counseling to all the stakeholders, which includes parents also, because that mindset needs to change for the parents. That is also is very important. Then only we can be see, it is very easy, as mentioned by my previous panelists, that in primary and middle school we are able to, but rigidity comes when we move to little higher classes.
True. So there is a little bit of resistance when it comes to going full-fledged with flexible assessment when it comes to the board classes. So I think that's the system that is driving us to that. Miss Kavita, would you like to add something to that? Miss Padma, I'll come to you.
Yes, ma'am. I am in support of flexible assessment system, but yeah, same time we have to see the practicality also of it. Approach of every stakeholder is very different, and I believe that little fear, little stress is important for this success. If completely they will become fearless, and if there will be no stress, this is also, but positive, not negative. Just say for example, when we declare कि we are going on the tour or we are going on picnic, they get little stress. It's not that they don't get little stress. They will not sleep whole night and they will start preparing excitement they have, but some kind of, so some little stress, whether I will be late, so I should be, ready in advance. So little stress, positive stress is must. And flexible assessment, as we are talking, of course, it should be there. And I think all the boards have internal assessment marks and, pen paper test, then addition of these two only comes in the board result. So when we are having that internal assessment in the hand, in that we can try, different kind of a thing. And pen paper test is also must, ma'am. So India is very, strong in theory part, and it is not wrong also. There are many countries who need Indian brain. Why do they need Indian brains? Because they are very strong in theory. So without theory also, we cannot survive or we will not get experts. So, but yes, we have to see to it that we go hand in hand with the practical knowledge also. So theory and practical both has to be there, but theory also equally important. And there are many, webinar or seminar which I attends there. People say, or different kind of a boards are there where they say कि why we have to make child, learn values, why we have to make child do the calculation, and calculator is there. 100% agree that no need for us to force child to learn these all things. But tell me, are we not making them slave of gadget? What if calculator stops working? तो क्या बच्चा करेगा नहीं, वो एकदम रुक जाएगा. And we have made him depend on the calculator. Who invented calculator? We only invented calculator, to make the work easy. But because of invention of the calculator or computer, we cannot stop child, learning or expanding his memory or his things. That also should continue. He should not be depend on anything. मतलब अगर computer नहीं चला तो I will not able to do anything. अगर कैलसी नहीं चला तो I will not be able to do anything. So that should not happen. I am not in favor of that. And we all know about that kind of a disease where we forget everything. So memory too is very important. If memory will not be there, even if you are knowledgeable, you will not able to put anything. Just for example, if I know the content, but I am not able to remember today, so I will not able to express myself. I will not able to communicate. So somewhere something which our ancestor had made, those things were also important. So new things also we have to adapt, but we have to see that we don't forget our treasure, what our ancestor gave us. Okay.
Right. So the right balance between the two is what we have
True,
to
true.
sort of strike and get. So I think we are left with the last 10 minutes. I think time has just flown with this discussion and with this great panel that we have today. With your closing remarks, if you could possibly just highlight what is that one big takeaway that you getting from this discussion, or something that has stayed with you and something would could be considered as your last and final comment. So anybody could start off. Varalakshmi, do you want to start?
Yeah, I was impressed with Miss Sonia's two more C's there. It's a very valid thing. Thank you, Miss Sonia, for that. That is really a takeaway from this conference, what I'm attending. And also, Miss Kavita very clearly said that flexible assessment should be there, but at the same time, tradition also should be there. Traditional teaching, along with technology, will take our children a long way, because the other countries are aping for an Indian system of education. So it is not that somebody else recognizes that, it is already in us. We are aping to the Western world, that's fine. But how much we should take, where we have to draw the line, we should know. When somebody is coming and learning yoga, meditation, everything from India, that was there from long time back. But then because foreigners are doing it now, we in our at home also all these things started. That one thing, thanks to the pandemic. Otherwise, our children would not have thought about it. Also, I think not only children, adults
Ma'am,
too.
you see na Datun, right? We are taking brush, but Datun is available in that. I think the name is different and it is huge in cost. We don't use that. We use plastic brush. They are using Datun. So
True. So I would like to tell that flexible learning, flexible assessment, flexible teachers, flexible government, we all will produce superior graduates. That's what I would like to tell at the end. Thank you
Uh,
all.
okay. Miss Kameshwari.
So, first of all, nice talking to you all, and the time passed away. 1 hour we passed. So, it's very nice. And I have learned mainly, I thought all the experiential learning, design thinking, and what all changes we have to bring. First, we should start in the formative years. So, in formative years, right from if you say our pre primary to grade 8, we should start, and then we should go about, and we should think. And when once we start in the primary years, and then the child goes to secondary classes, then I think his mind will be set that yes, I can do this. I should go about the formative assessment and flexibility of assessment. But still, one point I would like to say, if it is board class also, we can go with some of the formative assessment and some of the assessments where the child learns in a different way. And last, you have posed one more question, that was really feedback mechanism. I like that question very well, because we should give feedback rather assessment. Feedback is very important. So I learned a lot from you all, like empathy is important. Somebody said the child has created podcast, very good. Lakshmi ma'am said about hands-on experience, and someone said not only modern, our ancient values are important. So nice talking to you all. Thank you all. Thank you, Miss Shalini.
Welcome. Miss Sonia.
Yes. So, ma'am, my takeaway from this session is like my esteemed panelists had spoken that these have to be embedded. And as educators, we all have started treading on this path. I think little work which needs to be done a little more is on the flexible assessments. Children should not have that fear. So we give them the freedom, maybe in terms of the means and ways in which they are assessed, whether it is peer assessment or self-assessment. So them creating their own portfolios, or in within the time frame, that kind of flexibility that we give them in terms of assessment. I think if we tread this path, we are making our students future ready. They are going to be global citizens, inclusive of all the communication and the essential C's of the 21st century. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Miss Madhur.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think with all this 1 hour discussion, I think we all have realized that experiential learning is a necessity and a need of an hour. And also very important with the flexible assessment and flexible teaching learning when we are talking about. So it means one size doesn't fit all. So there comes how we plan our curriculum, how we plan our pedagogies to deliver that curriculum. So that becomes what I can say the underlying thought which I have taken out from the whole discussion. And of course, we will continue. That is where the reflection comes in. We will continue to make errors. That is inevitable. But how we make those errors and how we make our learners learn about that these errors could be a stepping stone with reflection, portfolio, and become more resilient and able to face the new world or any new challenge. Thank you.
Miss Padma.
There is nothing much for me to discuss over here because already we are done with everything. But rather, as a concluding remark, I would just want to say here, like as we have IPS, we have IAS, we must have IES as well. Indian Education Services. And we come to a different platform, we debate, we discuss so many things that we should have boards or not, but rather we should come up with something. The government should come up with such an initiative which is called as IES, that is, Indian Education Services, and there should be some regulatory agency as well to monitor these things and how it is going on, so that we can have a great change in a centralized manner. Thank you.
We are already ideating, I guess. So great. Thank you. Thanks to each one of you for this wonderful discussion. I have a number of takeaways. I have made my points as usual. As a teacher, I couldn't resist but do that. So I think continue to be great educators, continue to be great change makers. So all the best to all of you. Miss Kavita, you want to add something?
Yes, ma'am. My closing statement is pending, left out. I'll just say that आगे देख सीधा चल. And in that, if anything comes, design it, go for multiple assessment, be flexible in the assessment, but always remember that आगे देख सीधा चल. So, we have to teach this to a child, our children. So they have to move forward, they have to walk straight, and whatever comes, they have to use all the tools to be a successful. Thank you very much.
I really like that statement, ma'am. आगे देख सीधा चल, because
Even
I
me.
think that's very important for all of us to teach our students, teach the kids today, that they have to look forward, they have to be focused, and they have to look forward and not worry about any barriers in life, because that's the biggest takeaway I in fact felt was from this discussion. And that brings us to the end of this panel discussion. It has been wonderful. I was on backstage listening to the entire conversation, and it was really wonderful listening to all your views. I would like to thank all of you for being present here and sharing your views. I would ask my backend team, Rajeshwarji, if we can have the certificates for the participants now. A certificate for Miss Varalakshmi. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being here today.
Thank you, ma'am.
A certificate for Miss Kameshwari. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being here. And you have a beautiful name.
Thank you.
A certificate for Miss Kavita Singh. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being here today. Thank you for being a part of this event.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
One for Miss Madhur Gupta. Thank you so much, ma'am, for sparing time and being here today. Okay, we didn't have Miss Sangeeta Srivastava, but yes, the certificate was there with her. One for Miss Shalini John. Thank you so much, ma'am. You've been a wonderful moderator. It was wonderful seeing your moderation skills today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
One for Miss Padma Kumar. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being a part of the event and sharing your valuable insights. One for Miss Sonia Nagpal. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being a part on such a busy, busy day. And it was wonderful having you with us today. Thank you, all our panelists. It was really amazing to listen to you. We have some stalls out there from our sponsors. If you're interested, you can have a look at the stall area as well. And we have one more panel, in fact, two more panel discussions after lunch from 2:30 onwards. If you want to be a part of it, we can send you the delegate links as well. Thank you so much and have a great evening, everyone. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thanks to Taranam also. Thank you, Elets.
Thank you.
Thank you.